And welcome back to Metropole Sports Center. My name is Nation Oano. As I promised you in the first part of the show, I was going to be joined by Jean Oketch, who's the marketing manager for Tusker brand. Jean, thank you so much for finding time to join Metropole, to come on Metropole Sports Center. Nice having you on the show.
For having me, Nation.
I'm good. The first question, probably, just to put you on the spot a little bit, maybe we can talk about the kits. I know just before Team Kenya flew out of the country, there was a lot of conversation about the kits that they were going to be using for the Olympics. Maybe you can talk to us about the whole kit process, the selection process, and how you guys landed on this year's Team Kenya kit.
I'll start off by saying we're very proud of our kit. I think you've seen from social media that sentiment is echoed by a lot of Kenyans. For the process, we partnered with the Kenya Fashion, young Kenyan designers together, right? Mm-hmm. So that they come together, create their concepts, which we then shortlisted, and through a voting process, which included the athlete captain. So at least we had Team Kenya captains coming in and meeting the Kenya Fashion Council. And we also allowed the public to vote on Facebook and Instagram. The winning designer then awarded them for their effort of kit and for accessories. They loudly and proudly wear them as they went to the Olympics. One, yeah. Realize the designs.
Okay, I sort of like lost you there towards the end. You were saying something about the selection process on how you guys got to the kit. If you don't mind, would you kindly take it back to that? Because I think I lost you at the last towards the end of that.
Fine. Through the Kenyan Fashion Council. We then asked young Kenyan designers to put out entries for designs, right? Mm-hmm. Once those entries came together and we shortlisted them through a voting process where we allowed Team Kenya captains, we allowed the Kenya Fashion Council, KBL, and then of course members of the public through Facebook to vote for the winning designs. That winning design is what we then took into completion and is what you've seen Team Kenya wearing, but we also awarded the winning designers in the categories of the kit, accessories, and for shoes. Yeah?
Okay. Maybe the key thing that maybe people will be interested in knowing, why was it important for you guys to plug into Team Kenya this year? Because this year, KBL as a brand came out strongly. Like, it was very easy to say that Team Kenya has been affiliated to Tusker or KBL as a brand. Why was it important for you as a brand to plug yourself so openly to Team Kenya?
I'll start off by saying, as KBL and as Tusker, over the years we've supported Team Kenya, and not just Team Kenya. We have a very proud history of supporting sports in Kenya, from golf to rugby to athletics and to soccer. We own Tusker FC, which is currently doing amazingly well at the top of the league. So for us, naturally, Olympics is the one where we always say these athletes are a very, very good representation of Kenya. Mm-hmm. We're currently running a campaign we call Kenya Milele, where we are saying we want to showcase the best of Kenya and Kenyans. Our athletes, honestly, if you think about it, are probably some of the best ambassadors we've ever had. So it wasn't even a thought to be had. As Tusker and KBL, we will consistently support these athletes, and we put in all our heart and soul into these athletics. It's been a difficult year for many Kenyans. It's a positive moment to see Kenyan, just running, performing, swimming. This time we even had beach volleyball. So putting our athletes out there on that global platform, it was not a difficult decision to make. And it's something that we as KBL and Tusker will continue to do across the years. Yeah. Okay.
I know we were supposed to have this conversation earlier, just before the team flew out of the country. But apart from the sponsoring or being associated with the Team Kenya kit, I would like to understand the extent of partnership, some of the way that KBL as a brand was part of Team Kenya through the preparation process and even just before they went out for the Olympics.
Yeah, so we started off by putting money on the table. So we put 45 million shillings in cash and in kind to support Team Kenya and NOC towards the preparation and the logistics for the Olympics. You can imagine that it is a very expensive process. So we did put some money behind that and give them media support as well to support them. In addition, as the lead up to the Olympics as well, it's just giving the athletes the opportunity to understand their brand themselves, because they are brand themselves. So we took the time to have sessions with the females and with the men athletes as to teach them on personal branding. Like I've spoken to you about the kit already, we took the time as well to make sure that they were well kitted as they went to athletics, and we'll continue to support them beyond that. I don't really get that question, Nashon.
Okay. An interesting dimension that you mentioned there was the support that as a brand you gave to women in sports. How important is it for us to push this agenda of women in sport? I have this conversation all the time, and I always ask, how important is it to support women in sports in the country, and how much more do other organizations or brands need to plug into women and sports in Kenya?
KBL diversity and inclusion is at the top of it. So for us, it's one of the things that you will see us consistently try and do across the board. For Team Kenya, I believe this is the first time that you've had such a large contingent of women actually going to support Kenya on the Olympics. Yeah, so something we are proud of, but something we also saw as an opportunity to take the time and actually teach the ladies about personal branding, understanding how big their brands are and how that they can use those brands as females and as athletes to build better versions of themselves. In addition, working with Enda Shoe Limited, right? I don't know if you've heard of Enda Shoes, but they're probably one of the best athletic shoe companies in Kenya, loudly and proudly Kenyan, female founder. So we're working with her as well in terms of developing shoes that will be Tusker branded, yes, for Team Kenya, but we'll also give her support for her business as she continues in this sector.
Okay. Maybe in line with the developing sports in the country, is there an agenda that KBL is prioritizing, probably currently and in the future?
Yeah, we're going into our centenary year as a start. Both KBL and Tusker turn 100 next year. So definitely, if you think about the things that we say will be important to us, sports is at the forefront of that. We find sports is one of the things that it brings Kenyans together, and we have so many athletes, so many sportsmen across different types of sports that we will continue to support into 2022. Tusker FC, I've spoken of them. They have qualified for the CAF Cup, something we're loudly, proudly proud of, and we will make sure we support the boys as they continue to go on to this tournament and on to bigger things. So a big focus on football, partnering with them, partnering with the FKF to actually make Kenya proud as the boys go to this platform to represent Kenya. To look into rugby. I think Kenyans are also very passionate about rugby, so we'll be putting our support behind that. Our golf sponsorships will continue, and as always, our athletes and our sports people who go on to the Olympics will continue to be at the forefront of our priorities as well.
Okay. Jean, there is a topical conversation that came out at the Olympics, just on the sidelines of the Olympics. It was the whole conversation about athletes and mental health. I just wanted to get your take on probably why you think, aside from participating in the sport, it's also important to take care about the mental health of athletes.
I don't think you can underestimate mental health, not just for athletes, but for any individual. Everybody's a sum of parts, right? You need to be okay. You need to be fine. You need to be able to express who you are as an individual. I think athleticism is an extreme sport. If you ask me, the rest of us didn't qualify for the Olympics, eh? Yeah. The rest of us are actually sitting in our homes. We cannot do the things that these individuals have actually put their hearts and minds to. So we can't underestimate the importance of their mental health, that they would be mentally well-being even as they're physically fit. So for me, it's not actually a discussion to be placed on the side and not to be ignored. Mental health is actually a priority, and we should make sure that they have the right environment, yes, to perform well, but also to be well mentally as they do these amazing feats they do as they run, jump, play, or whatever sports they're involved in.
Okay, I know this is an emerging issue. Probably I'll be putting you on the spot. Maybe what are some of the has KBL as a brand thought about how they can continue this conversation? Because the reality, tackling this whole issue is a multifaceted conversation. Maybe any plans by KBL to continue these conversations at the sidelines of the Olympics?
I mean, not necessarily specific to the Olympics, and yes, you're definitely putting me on the spot, Nation, on that one. I know internally we do take the time to make sure, and especially during COVID, you might underestimate it, but mental health of the people in the organization is all right. As we're thinking about our sponsorships and our partnerships with sports people, yes, there's the Olympics, and yes, the athletes have gone. I think there's a bigger conversation on the journey beyond. We are saying that our sponsorship and our partnerships are not, okay, see you in Tokyo, come back and we don't talk to you again. But create the forums where you can actually sit down and engage. As we are crafting our campaigns into this F22, our new financial year, but actually partnering with these athletes to understand mental health better, but also because for a lot of Kenyans, these athletes, guys, are actually their heroes. So using them as well to lend the right voice and to say the right things and to support the conversation on mental health is one of the things that we will probably look into as they come back.
Okay. We have two major races taking place this weekend. That is the women's final marathon, and our own Eliud Kipchoge will be participating in the marathon this coming weekend. Any closing words to the remaining athletes competing this weekend?
To Ruth, to Eliud, to all the athletes, first I'd like to say for all the ones who've competed, we are very, very proud of you. Just making it to the Olympics in and of itself is a big feat, and you're our heroes, and we are proud. And to the ones remaining, we are all backing up behind you. We keep on saying as Tusker, we are Team Kenya. So guys, please send your messages of support to the athletes. Let's support them, let's rally behind them, and let's get back and ready to celebrate them as come home. They are heroes that they went, and as they come back home, we're behind them 100%. We are all Team Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah?
Thank you so much, Jean. I'm looking forward to talking to you about more about the whole athletes and mental health. I know today I ambushed you, but probably the next time you're going to be having this conversation, you'll have had enough time to prepare for this one.
No problem, Nation. I'm happy to have the conversation, and thank you for supporting sport and for supporting Tusker.
Thank you thank you.
Okay.
Now we quickly switch gears into the Sports Facts segment of the show, and on today's part of the Sports Facts, you're going to be talking about some of the interesting facts that you did not know about the Olympic gymnastics. Now, the ancient Greeks prepared their young men for war by doing gymnastics. I know probably as you're watching the television, or probably you're watching a gymnastics tournament, you see them jumping up and down, but it's important to understand the whole genesis of the whole game that is gymnastics. Now, women were not allowed to compete in Olympic gymnastics until 1928. I think this is a conversation that faces out in all cadres of our lives today. Remember, there's a time women were not allowed to vote. There's a time women were not allowed to drive. But right now, the conversation has changed. The first woman was allowed to compete in Olympic gymnastics in 1928. Now, the most female athletes are successful around the years of 14 to 18. While male gymnasts are usually successful in their late teens to early 20s. In terms of flexibility, because when you're young, you're able to move around. Maybe as your age progresses, you're not able to be as flexible enough. That explains why most of the athletes are successful between their early teen years. Now, the word gymnastics is derived from a Greek word gymnos, which means exercise naked. That's an interesting fact that probably you didn't know about the Olympic gymnastics. Now, the first woman to win the World Gymnastics competition was Marcia Frederick. The other interesting thing that you needed to know about the Olympic gymnastics is that the first ever non-Olympic gymnastics event was held in Antwerp, Germany in the year 1903 and is considered as the World Championships of Gymnastics. That particular last fact finishes this segment of Sports Facts. We take a short commercial break. After the break, I'm going to be joined by our sports analyst, that is Ian Ketanyi. We are going to be talking about a bit about Lionel Messi and where he is going after leaving Barcelona. And apart from that, also we are going to be talking about the performance of Team Kenya at the Olympics. Remember, Eliud Kipchoge is going to be running this coming weekend, so we are going to be talking about that. What are the factors that are for him, and what are some of the factors that are against him. See you after the break.